The Pfizer CEO, in an interview with Yahoo News, the Pfizer CEO said that his vaccine, the COVID shots, the first two shots, had limited, if any, impact on Omicron. Okay? Let me repeat that. If you got the Pfizer shots, the first two vaccine shots, according to the CEO of Pfizer himself, those shots have limited, if any, impact on the Omicron variant of COVID, which represents right now well over 90% of all of the vaccines, all of the COVID infections that are going on in the country right now. By the way, the reason why I went and got tested was so I would know 100% whether or not I had it, so I could talk to you all about my experience as opposed to just thinking, oh, maybe I've got a cold, because if you're like me and you have young kids in the house, there's constantly cold circulating all throughout the winter. That's just a natural result of being a parent, okay? So the Pfizer CEO said that his own vaccine, directly in an interview, Yahoo News, you can go watch it, that his own vaccine has limited, if any, effect against the Omicron variant. Okay? You can imagine what I thought when I got on this morning to Twitter to see what news was trending, and what I saw was a story from Twitter claiming that those quotes had been taken out of context, which is 100% not true. First of all, the interview itself is easily shared, and you can watch the entire context of the comments. But I got on Twitter and it said, Pfizer CEO's comments about vaccination protection against Omicron were taken out of context, according to fact checkers. In an interview on Monday, Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla said 3 doses of the Pfizer vaccine offered reasonable protection against hospitalization due to the Omicron variant, and that 2 doses offer only limited protection from specifically the Omicron variant. His comments were misrepresented and circulated online. No, they weren't. No, they weren't at all. I just told you exactly what he said. There is limited, if any, protection for the tens of millions of you who got the Pfizer vaccine. The CEO himself said those 2 shots provide you limited, if any, protection against Omicron. It's exactly what I said, okay? So I was like, this is strange. First of all, this looks like an advertisement, right? Why is it showing up on my trending topics? Who is writing this editorializing? Is this a paid-for advertisement? And then I went down the rabbit hole a little bit, and it got even crazier. Did you know that the chairman of Reuters, which is in charge of fact-checking on Twitter, is on the board of Pfizer? And that Pfizer made a copyright complaint to try to get this video pulled off of Twitter because they didn't want their CEO's comments to be circulating. And Twitter did it, even though what this CEO said is wildly important to the debate surrounding COVID mandates that exist in this country right now. Because, think about this for a minute. Joe Biden is trying to mandate a vaccine that the Pfizer CEO himself acknowledges has limited, if any, impact in the first 2 shots against Omicron. How are you going to mandate a shot that doesn't even impact you when it comes to the spread of Omicron by the CEO of Pfizer himself's own words? Most people are not getting the booster. You're welcome to get the booster. I told my parents to get the booster. They're 75 years old. The data reflects if you are elderly or if you are obese, you are potentially under danger from COVID. If you are neither of those things, you are not remotely under danger from COVID at all. That's why I haven't gotten the vaccine. That's why I'm 2-0 against COVID and have had zero issues whatsoever with COVID, despite the fact that everybody out there is terrified that if you're unvaccinated and you get COVID, somehow you're going to die. That's what the blue checks hope. They hope they can dance on your grave because it makes them feel better because they're sheep and they run out and do whatever the government tells them to do. But bigger picture here, how is it that Pfizer has got the Reuters chairman on their board and that Reuters is somehow in charge of fact-checking the Pfizer CEO, and then they can tell you that his own quotes are being taken out of context? How unbelievable is that? How are we not examining where Pfizer is spending money on advertisers? How are we not examining what the relationship is between Pfizer, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Google, social media? How are we not connecting big pharma and big tech and the unholy trinity that exists with our federal government? We're talking about the federal government mandating a treatment to its citizens that is a for-profit company's ability to make billions of dollars off of, and simultaneously that you are not even allowed to discuss the actual CEO of Pfizer himself's own comments for fear that you are going to be fact-checked and told that you are taking direct quotes out of context. This is an unbelievable story. If we had a truly legitimate media, if we had a truly fearless purveyor of truth, the media would be all over what I just gave them in an absolute pass layup. Also, this is the very definition of Twitter being a publisher and not a platform. They are making the decision what I see on my trending page. That's an editorial decision made by someone at Twitter. That's not an aberrant result. That is designed to happen. How is this not being examined in a more significant fashion? This is unbelievable. This is Big Brother telling you what you're allowed to think, what you are allowed to believe, and what you are allowed to choose to do with your own individual freedoms. It's a monster deal, okay? It just really is.